A 30-day challenge. The meaning of dreams. When was the last time that you actually recall a dream? For me, it has been a long time. And I started this 30-day challenge essentially trying to figure out what the meaning of my dreams was, right? Now, I did a little bit of research before I started this 30-day challenge, and it has been my first week. And I must say, this first week, just like my other challenges I had done, it took a while, right? Like anytime you start something new, it takes a while. And a lot of people want to drop off, right? And be like, this is not for me. I am done with this, right? I've done it for a week. It's not working. And this is why I like doing these challenges, because that first week, second week, you really don't see a lot of results. And so this 30-day challenge, I challenge myself to essentially try to determine the meaning of my dreams, right? And I did a little bit of research and trying to figure out what it was. And so I started last week. I started recording myself, right? Recording what I remember from my dreams. Now, essentially, you have to prep your mind, right? And go into, before you go to bed, like prep it to try to understand, to essentially trigger yourself to recall whatever dreams you have, right? And to become into this lucid state to realize that you're actually dreaming. And I remember actually doing this as a kid and being able to recall and realizing that I was in a dream and essentially doing whatever I wanted to in the dream, right? I remember doing this as a kid. Now as an adult, not so much, because I don't even remember my dreams. And so I wanted to do this 30-day challenge, and this is the first week. And I'm not going to lie, right? There's been quite a few days where I can't recall any dreams at all. Now, when the first day I actually started doing this, I did recall 3 dreams. And something I've researched and I found out was essentially that, it takes 4.5 hours to really get into that REM sleep where you start actually, start having these dreams. And then it occurs every 2 hours essentially after that. And for myself, that first night I did have, right, I woke myself up 4.5 hours later and I had a dream, right? And essentially after that 4.5 hours, you'll have a dream, and then, it's every 2 hours, and you're supposed to remember more details, right? The further, more in-depth sleep that you get, you start remembering more details about that dream. And that essentially did prove true, right? In my last video, I talked about this. And I did recall that last dream I had a lot of detail, where the first 2, they weren't as vivid, right? I don't recall a lot from those videos, and I really didn't understand the meaning to those videos. So in doing more research, I'm actually finding out that in dreams, right, that they help your psychology, right? They help you figure out things, essentially allowing yourself to sleep and essentially solve some kind of problem you might be having during the day. Because typically when you dream about something, it's going on, whatever's going on in your life in that day will essentially carry on to that night. And before you go to bed, it is really important to actually try to recall, right? And tell yourself, okay, I want to remember, I want to recall my dream, I want to recall my dream. And then when you go to bed, then at that point, you wake up, and as soon as you remember a dream, you're not supposed to really move much. You're supposed to kind of keep your eyes closed and essentially write what you recall from that dream, right? And the more you do this, the better you get. And I've found this out with a bunch of other different things I've done in my life, right? When I've been doing meditation, it took a long time before I saw results. And then the more I was doing it, the better I got at doing meditation. And this is the same kind of thing, right? Now, I went a couple days, I didn't really see anything. In the past, 2 days, I've started to recall my dreams better again. And I'm not waking up every 4.5 hours and trying to log that dream, but I just sleep through the night, and then when I wake up in the morning, I essentially do a voice recorder and try to record what I do recall from the dream. And the more you do this, the better you're supposed to get at it. And again, it helps you essentially solve problems, and essentially gives you this thing, right? There was an experiment done where people would move their eyes, right? I guess you're supposed to move your eyes left and then straight and then left, right, or something like that. There was this essential sequence that went along with this eye movement, right? They said if you realize that you're in a dream, to do this eye movement. And there was a study done, and they actually proved to themselves that they were that they realized that they were sleeping and that they were in this REM sleep and were essentially able to control their dreams. And so it's actually really intriguing, right? In trying to solve problems and realize that you're in this state, right? So this really helps the neural network, right? And connecting all these different things in your mind when you are sleeping. And so essentially that's what I wanted to do, is just try this out, see if it helps, see what it actually did, right? Because there's a lot of studies coming, you know, that help people essentially. It helps with their brain health, right? It helps you become a better person. You wake up in the morning, maybe you're excited, right? Maybe you were playing Superman all night, you know, whatever the case is. And so again, going back to this past week, I haven't really had a lot of dreams, but I've been doing research and trying to understand what this difference is, right? And I think ultimately in a 30-day challenge, yes, you do try to do whatever that thing is, right? Now it's trying to interpret your dreams or whatever the case is, but you also want to be doing research, and that's what I've been doing, is trying to understand in this 30 days, how is this helping me? And then essentially have that dream journal, which is essentially just, you know, a voice recorder. When I wake up, I throw it all out there and see what I can recall. And it's like the more you start waking up, the more you're awake, you start forgetting a lot of that stuff very quickly. But if you again reiterate first thing when you wake up and keep doing it and doing it and doing it, you recall a lot more from those dreams. And again, it's really interesting, right? And trying to solve whatever issue that you have. And a lot of times you have all that brain power at night, right? Because the rest of your body is asleep, and you know, your memory and all that stuff really isn't kicked in at that point, right? That's why we can't recall dreams. And so I am doing this challenge to see that, right? In the first week, it is rough, and that's why I guess I'm throwing a lot of this stuff out, because that first week is hard, right? Because you don't really see a lot of results. Yeah, you'll hit like 1 or 2, right? You'll fire pretty good one day, and the next 2 or 3 days you don't fire as good, and so right now that's the kind of stage I'm at. Is I'm starting to recall my dreams, but the last one I had was actually more vivid, right? I could recall dreams, but typically that's the last, you know, sleep cycle you're in before you wake up. So you should be able to recall more on that particular dream. And in a lot of my dreams, you know, they don't make sense, but I do realize that they're occurring, right? And it's just getting at that state to where you can actually realize you're in sleep and then start essentially creating whatever world you want, right? Because that's what you can do in the dream world. You can fly, you can do all these different things, you can solve problems, and stuff just comes naturally, right? Which is really intriguing. And it doesn't seem like it takes as much brain power to do this stuff. I guess this is why this has really attracted me to this whole interpreting my dreams thing, this 30-day challenge, is to really see how far I can take it, and then see if it's something that I want to continue doing or if I don't, right? Because essentially I have to dedicate that 30 days to start seeing some kind of results, and then interpret that and understand, well, is this something I want to keep doing? Is this something that's going to benefit me? And then, you know, essentially use that, roll that into my routine, right? And so ultimately, this first week, it hasn't been a complete bust, right? I have had vivid dreams. I'm realizing that I have to essentially really concentrate before I go to sleep. Hey, you know what? I want to recall my dreams. I want to recall my dreams. And essentially, you know, you drift off to sleep doing that, right? You keep repeating to yourself. And the more you do that, the more I am remembering when I wake up. And again, I went through a couple days and I didn't recall anything. There was a day I did have a dream. I knew I had a dream, but you know, I woke up and I was getting ready to record it, and I just didn't record it. I was tired. I rolled over. I'm like, I'm trying to recall the dream, and next thing I knew, I fell back to sleep, and then I don't recall a dream after that. And waking up that second time, I don't recall anything. And so that's just the thing about the dreams, is that you do have to record it right then and there, because it's prime right then. And again, the longer you wait, you're gonna forget everything that went on during that dream. And so again, it's just one of those things that I find intriguing, and I've always been, you know, if you're curious about something, see where it takes you. It may take you down some rabbit hole, and you may like what you see, you may not like what you see, but I thought this was worth a challenge, right? Because again, it had a lot of interesting aspects to it and what it can provide in someone's life, right? It's good for your psyche, right? So ultimately, that's why I'm doing this 3-day challenge. So we will see, we'll continue on. Got 3 more weeks left, we'll see what happens. So nonetheless, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button on the way out. Till next time, I will see you guys later.